think as a teacher, when I think about pivotal memories and things that stand out, the one that I really want to share with you, I had the chance during the unveiling to, one of the speakers stayed with us, and his name is Warren Reed, and I don't know if Heidi mentioned him. He's a man that lives out in Seattle, and he is the great-great-grandson of Louis Dundino. And his story just really moves me. So I'm going to share that with you because it really stands out in my mind from all the work that we've done. Right after September 11th, he was using Hotbot, which I guess is one of the better search engines from that time period, 2001, to do family research and genealogical research. He wanted to find, he had just adopted a young boy from Russia, and so he wanted to find information about his family to keep track of it, in a baby book or a memory book. In his research, he typed in Louis Dundino, and all of a sudden these sites started popping up about a lynching. Okay. So he started looking into it and just thought some type of hoax or just stuff popping up online. Well, he contacted the Minnesota Historical Society. They sent them pictures. They sent him this huge envelope of information. And sure enough, Louis Dundino, he recognized from some of the few pictures that his mother had. So he knew there was a connection, and he was just blown away by this connection that his great-great-grandfather had assisted in this lynching. He was so moved by it because it was right after September 11th. He was a principal of a school, and he was trying to protect the Arab American population within that school. And so for some reason, life going full circle, for him, this was sort of meeting him, straight in the face as far as protecting this one group and what did his great-great-grandfather, participate in. So he contacted the committee, and it just so happened a few months later, life going full circle, Catherine and I, one of the other co-chairs who was a phenomenal leader, she and I took a plane out to Seattle for a conference, a service learning conference. And the reason I was there, life going full circle, was because of this curriculum and the work that the students had done, and that's why we were going to that conference. At the conference, I don't know why we didn't connect this. Sometimes it's hard to connect the dots. All of a sudden I'm like, Catherine, doesn't he live in Seattle? She's like, oh yeah, I think he does. I'm like, well, maybe we should call him. She's like, oh yeah, maybe we should call him. And so completely last minute, we called him. And here are two women calling somebody out of the blue, halfway, almost halfway across the country. And he said, oh, I'll be right over. I'll pick you up. I'll show you Seattle. We'll go out to eat at one of my favorite restaurants. Okay. And he ended up bringing this big packet of information he got from the Historical Society. We were able to photocopy some of the information. And we asked him when the monument is done, and we hadn't even started building it yet at that time, but when the monument is done, would you speak at the unveiling? And he said he would love to, that he would be honored to do that. So when I picked up Warren in Duluth, Minnesota, he was unable to bring his mother. He really wanted her to be there, but that did not work out. So he stayed with my husband and I and my small baby infant at that time, and he prepared his speech for the following day. Well, the unveiling ceremony was a long event, and I don't know if any of you were in the area at that time or remember from media coverage, but his speech was the last speech, and it was so moving to me because he also talked about life going full circle, and he was there basically to pay respect to the lives of the three men and to talk about the impact that it had had on his life. Can I read just a little piece? Okay, just a small piece of his speech. From the beginning, though, it was never about personal shame, but the anatomy of such shame, a synthesis of the events and relationships in our lives that spoke to the denial and cloaking of an event in our family's past that was truly horrific. At this point, we are determined to bring the event full circle, to demonstrate that whatever fear or hatred may have sparked that reprobated incident did not continue in a cycle. As a family, we have used the discovery of this as a tool for continued discovery of ourselves. This means our past, present, and future selves, and a lesson that true shame is not in the discovery of a terrible event such as this, but in the refusal to acknowledge and learn from that event. And so I really liked that statement. And then he goes through and says, it's been said that true remorse is never just a regret over consequence, it is a regret over motive. Since Louis Dundino is one representative of the thousands of people that night, it was upon his shoulders to take some responsibility for the events that took place. I don't know that he ever did that, beyond his short prison sentence. I like to think that in his own heart he did. Nonetheless, I stand here as a representative of this legacy, and I will willingly place that responsibility upon my shoulders. For Elmer Jackson, I am sorry that unreason and bigotry disallowed you the right to prove your innocence and deprived you the opportunity to create a legacy of your choosing. For Elias Clayton, ignorance and self-righteousness were the fuel for your untimely and undignified death. For this, I offer my deepest apologies. For Isaac McGhie, I give you my heartfelt apology. Fear can never be used as an excuse for hysteria, and passage of time can never be used as a reason for ignoring injustice. We will never know the destinies and legacies these men would have chosen for themselves had they been allowed to make that choice. But I know this, their existence, however brief and cruelly interrupted, is forever woven into the legacy of my own life. My son will continue to be raised in an environment of tolerance, understanding, and humility, now with even more pertinence than before. I would like to extend my great appreciation to the community for their invitation and for your presence today. Thank you. So his statements just have always stuck with me, and just, you know, hitting full circle, so many people have been involved with this process that it's really heartfelt and just humbling to be a part of it myself. He actually has gone on to take a sabbatical for a year and has done a lot of work doing research, and he has written a book, and there's a publishing company that was interested in his book, and so he's in the final stages of writing that, and he will be here this summer to finish the final stages. So I guess my last, and maybe it's part of my being a teacher, and trying not to sound too preachy to you, but I guess the last lesson for myself, and that I hopefully share with my students, is that one person makes a difference, and it's amazing. And sometimes it's so much easier to focus on the negative versus the positive and get bogged down in it. But so many people have been a part of this movement and a part of this drive, and to be one of the only places in the United States that recognizes this event, which was sweeping the nation at that time. I mean, over 3,000 in one, I mean, just within a few year time span in the early 1900s being lynched. And to me, I think it's important that we open the Pandora's box of the past to just uncover some of those things that are still with us today. So that's it.